are not cookie cutter. My 4-year-old didn't do this, and my 1-year-old is, and I don't understand it. Well, kids are different.
I was walking at a year. You should definitely be walking.
Oh, and toilet training?
My middle child, I forget how old he was, but he gave me one of the, I'm never, ever, 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 ever using the potty. And we went, okay, can't fight with that. He's 13 now, and he uses the potty.
That's good.
Eventually, you know. And it's actually taken me longer than usual. What are your priorities? What's your needs? Where's the flexibility? But when you're having children, and even young 20s, you know, if they're stuck.
Adult thought, but I often see it as like adolescent thought, and then I used to work with strictly teen parents. God bless you.
Teens are fun. I like teens.
They're
Well,
my favorite.
they were just like having two sets of kids because
Yes.
they were the same stage as their toddler.
Yeah.
Like egocentrical
Yeah.
and very, competitive, and they were in the same stage as their toddler.
And
So-
you all are aware, Mark probably covered this with you guys, that there are a number of things that can get in the way of ongoing human development. Substance abuse, trauma, those kind of things really impact. And as we were hearing earlier today, that the ages when kids start abusing alcohol, marijuana, is really, really young. They get stuck at that developmental stage. You have somebody starting to smoke pot at age 14 or drink heavily when they're 12. It happens. That's kind of the developmental stage they're going to be stuck in until a while after they stop and get back rolling. So now you have this 17, 18-year-old who now has a kid.
Three.
Well, and
Or
girls,
has 3 kids.
but girls also, that's kind of a trauma in itself. They're young, they got pregnant, they have giving birth. I mean, all those things are really traumatic.
And they haven't had a chance not to have childhood.
Yeah.
Their adolescence is gone. You got a child of your own, pretty much.
Sophomore year in high school.
Yeah. So to have them be at a stage where they're still stuck in that earlier phase of being a little egocentric, of wanting to be social, of wanting to connect outside the home, peers are more important than family. Developmentally, that's normal, that's typical for that adolescent age. That's what you expect to have happen. That's what happens to most of us. You add a pregnancy and a newborn to that, and suddenly you're putting literally a ball in a chain on that developmental need to be expressed. And so you have a child who's not now starting to grow up into adulthood, but now being responsible for a child, getting frustrated if they had a substance history, they may be turning more to that because they're looking to self-soothe. They're looking to try and experiment, explore. They're still in that adolescent phase where they're looking for sensations. As if having a child isn't enough of one. But they're still stuck. And then in come you saying, oh, let's do something different with this child that you have, old child.
One thing that I've run into is having an enabling grandparent and asking them, the parents, how things are, and getting an answer, well, I don't know, I don't deal with them all day long, I'm at school.
And when they come home from school, who's raising the kid?
Still the grandmother,
Yeah.
because there's texting.
So what is mom's or dad's opinion about parenthood? Where do they see a parent to be? Where do they want their parent to be? What kind of parent do they want to be for their child? Sometimes it's a matter of stepping back out of the moment and trying to help them gain some perspective. It's an uphill battle for that. Because really, they're really living in the moment at that age. Adolescents live in the moment. Anybody think back to when you were 16, 15? A long time ago. I have vague memories of it. But you're really living in the moment. You're not doing a whole lot of planning ahead. And that's where they are. And when you say grandma's enabling, or is she now providing care for this child that wouldn't otherwise get it? Is she recognizing that maybe Sally doesn't have the capacity to be an adequate parent, and somebody's going to raise his kids, and she's going to step in? You can look at it a lot of different ways. And do you allow your 17-year-old adolescent who's now a new mom to be a 17-year-old, or do you expect her to be a mom? That's a tough one. And some of it has to be driven by the child, the 17-year-old child, by the child themselves. Where are they? Are they ready to step up and be a mom? Do they need to be a kid? Do we have a resource in the house that can raise a child adequately until mom maybe gets to the plate?
And maybe mom will learn by her grandma.
Modeling is always, if grandma's doing some good modeling,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
If she's paying attention and isn't texting all the time.
But sometimes they're doing that, but they're paying
Yeah.
attention.
I mean, nowadays kids can text, while they're
Yeah.
driving, but not always well. You're
There's new
multitasking.
studies though on multitasking which say that really only super smart people multitask.
Well, I'm awesome.
You are
Apparently. So, but
I'll let you, I don't know where you can judge.
I'm under this delusion that we can do it, but
Yeah.
really, we can't.
When you're there with mom and with child, and moving more toward infant at this point, when you're helping teach mom how to interact with child, eye contact, interpret what's going on, constant contact, reading cues, looking at cues, all those skills that come along, that's intense. That constant verbal production, so the child learns a cadence of language. I can't tell you how many kids I see come into the Head Start programs who are behind in their language development, and really, as soon as they start the classroom, boom, it explodes, because now they're exposed to it. And we talk a lot with parents about trying to give a language-enriched environment in their own home. So there's always talking going on. There's singing of songs. There's reading of stories. There's a cognitive process. Yes, I'm chopping up the vegetables now. Here comes the carrot. Did you hear that click? Yeah, the carrots are orange. Look at how orange that is. You had a constant conversation about process. That's how kids learn to talk. For many parents, I walk into a household, and the only noise I hear is the child. You don't have that constant conversation, or the TV set, which is not the same. It's just empty noise for the child.
You can't
No
talk
interaction.
understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, how do we get them to understand you? How do we learn how to talk? And some of that's an educational process for the parent to learn that this is the first step of learning language, is hearing language. But doesn't understand you yet. Has to hear words, has to hear sounds, has to hear cadence. That's what they're incorporating neurologically. And that's what they're going to start mimicking. If they can't hear it, they're not going to mimic it. If you want your child to have language, you got to talk. There has to be language in the household. But you're right, the parents don't always understand that. And that's where that psychoeducation comes in from your guys, is to teach that piece.